What's going on, you guys? Fullster, and I'm back with another video. In today's video, I'll be remaking my Graves guide again because it is necessary at this point. I will also be discussing the future nerfs that are coming because this patch he got like an animation nerf, but then the next patch he's gonna be nerfed again, apparently slightly. So I'll give my opinion on that as well. Now, let's get right into the runes. This is the rune page I use on Graves right now. I go for the lethality reds, I go for attack speed in quints and glyphs, and then I go for scaling health in seals. The reason I take all this attack speed is because it really helps you with early jungle clearing, because you just need your auto attacks to clear as fast as possible. It is the main thing that helps Graves clear. It's not his Q or anything, it's his auto attacks and the auto attack resets you can get with E. Then I take lethality because it skills, it really helps you deal more damage to people later on in the game, and then you take scaling health just to be more tanky. Graves by himself gets a lot of armor from his true grit. He used to get magic resist as well, but that's not the case anymore, but that doesn't necessarily matter too much. It is better to have scaling health than have scaling armor, because you do gain armor from your true grit. Now, you can also, with the upcoming patch of his, just a little bit of nerf to the base stats, but then he gains bonus attack damage ratio on his Q next patch, is what I've seen so far. Just a quick comment on that. You can switch these runes out, these lethality runes, for flat attack damage, and that pretty much makes up for all the damage you lose in the early game, and then you will eventually scale even better, because you scale with bonus AD on your Q now better, so you're gonna deal more damage later in the game. So to fix that problem, you can simply do that if you want to. Now up next, the masteries. This is the mastery page I use on Graves. I go for attack speed here in the Fury because you just need to get more auto attacks off. Again, early game. Helps you clear a jungle faster, all that. Also helps you trade and skirmish. So really beneficial to just take attack speed. Then fresh blood, a little bit of damage increase, like not too big of a deal. You don't need feast because you shouldn't be taking too much damage in your jungle clear generally anyway. The two potions you have, like the refillable potion you have in the start, is pretty much just gonna keep you at 100% HP throughout your entire clear. It just helps you if you fuck up sometimes. Then I take 4 points natural talent, gain base stats in the early game, and then 1 point here, just to have a little bit of extra sustain. Like, you might not notice it whilst you're fighting, but it is there, and it's gonna provide you with a little bit of extra HP, which is useful. Then I take double-edged sword to deal more damage, just in general to jungle camps and in early game mostly. Taking the extra damage really doesn't matter too much on Graves anyway, so yeah. Because you can cut your camp, so you're not going to be taking too much damage from them, and then just later in fights you're a ranged champion, so you should be okay on that front. Now I take savagery because it increases your attack damage, like the auto attacks again, just on your jungle camps, all that, so it really works. Then assassin for obviously just increased damage when you're fighting people. There are a lot of situations where you're going to 1v1 people as Graves, so like the enemy jungler, you can easily just walk up to him, and most of the time you're gonna be able to kill him. If he's an AP champion, however, like Elise for example, in the early game, you might run into some problems because you don't gain that magic resist anymore from your true grit. Then just merciless damage increase, dangerous game. I prefer this. You can also go for the Greenfather's Gift if you want. This is going to increase your jungle clear speed a little bit, and could also help you out in fighting people a little bit more, because it's going to deal the extra HP when out of a brush. It's only a 9-second cooldown, which is not too bad. But I tend to prefer Dangerous Game because it just allows you to sustain fights like on like low HP. As you get like kills on targets, you can keep going and keep going. So that's really why I prefer Dangerous Game, but it's either or, it doesn't matter. It's literally what you prefer. Then I take Precision just for some extra lethality. Cooldown reduction could be a thing. Potentially next patch, like as of making this next patch, because its ult cooldown is going to go up a bit. So if you pick like more CDR, you can make up for those seconds, but I would say still go with precision for the lethality, because lethality again is just going to help you out in just getting through people's armor later in the game mainly. And then to end this off, I go for Storm Raider Surge on Graves in about 99% of the games. Now, I used to go Thunderlords quite a lot on Graves, but since they removed like the fast burst combos you could do with Graves, like the ult cancel combo and like a Q ult cancel combo, all that, it's kind of gone now, which means that Thunderlords honestly isn't that great anymore. It was really just to burst people like instantly with like really good burst combos. So that's why I used to go for Thunderlords a lot, but now I switched to Storm Raiders more because It more so depends now on just positioning and auto attacking instead of just instantly bursting like squishies. So like in most situations, Storm Raiders will be the best shot to go for right now. Alright, that's the masteries. Now let's switch over to the item build here. They removed the old client, so I can't use the old item sets anymore. So I'm just using a website instead, pretty much. It's lol.itemset.com. So that's what I'm using now to just show you guys the item set and how I would do it instead of like doing anything else. So let's get into this. I'll be looking there, by the way, because that's where I have it set up. So yeah, excuse me for on that one that I'm not looking at you. So you start off with the Hunter's Machete and the refillable potion. This is the best start you can get on Graves because Hunter's Machete obviously works with auto attacks. You don't need to get the Talisman because you have plenty of mana sustain anyway, and the more damage you're going to deal with auto attacks, the better to like kill your targets with in your jungle camps. Refillable potion, more than enough sustain. You don't even need it, honestly. You can just go with a Hunter's Machete, and if you clear like well enough, you'll be fine to just go with not even that potion. But it's just safety, and it's there to keep you at full HP, which can potentially lead into maybe a counter gank after you clear your jungle camps, or like deal with an invade or something, I don't know. Then a core build that you're gonna go for every single game is your Red Smite Warrior. This is literally like gonna mean so much to you in the early game. So if you Red Smite a target, you can then trade with them better because they deal less damage to you, but you also get more burn damage. If you combine that with a red buff, you're gonna do insane amounts of burn damage, which is honestly gonna get you some random kills when people flash away on like 200 HP and they still die to burn damage. So that's quite funny. So it's gonna give you a lot of 1v1 potential. It's gonna give you a big damage increase. It's gonna give you like a good sustain in your jungle. So this is definitely a must-get item on Graves every single game. That's the first thing you're gonna go for. After that, you can either pick up the Ninja Tabi or the Mercs, depending on the game. Mercs is obviously gonna be useful against like magic resist teams or high CC comps. If you're against like more magic damage teams, it's better to pick up Mercs on Graves these days, especially because you do not get any any magic resist anymore from your True Grit. So picking up that extra bit of magic resist right there will help you quite a lot against more AP heavy teams. But obviously it just depends on the team comp the enemy has. Now at this point there are a few optional items. I'm not gonna give you guys a set build to go for because that's not the way to go on pretty much any champion. I'm gonna stop doing that as well. I'm just gonna give you guys an optional set of items which will be good in specific situations. So, these are the optional items for Graves. You have Phantom Dancer, Black Cleaver, Maul of Mortius, a Blade of the Rune King, a Death's Dance, an Infinity Edge, and a Guardian Angel. Those are pretty much all the optional items you can go for on Graves. You have obviously the Gargoyle Stoneblade, which could be useful instead of like a GA in certain situations. So if you're like diving in and you're getting hard focused a lot, then you might be able to get away with that as well. But for those situations, GA will work fine too. So it's literally just one or the other in that slot. Now what you could do obviously is get GA for a long time, and then as soon as GA like gets popped, you can switch to Stoneblade to make up for it as well. So in those situations, it's yeah. Now, usually against most teams, you're able to go for like a Black Cleaver Rush because it's going to give you that kite potential with the Phage effect. It's going to give you a lot of CDR, which is going to give you lower cooldowns on your ultimate and Q, and obviously E as well, but E doesn't necessarily matter too much if you auto attack a lot. So usually that would be the best rush. Also, it's going to give you a lot of extra HP as well. It's overall the most value item you can go for, so let's just say that you're going to go for a Ninja Tabi. This is going to be like the full build example of ways to go. This is obviously going to be the most valuable item to go for at the start, if you can actually get away with it, because there are games where you're against more AP heavy shit, and you have to get like a Maw first to make up for the fact that, well, you don't have magic resist anymore on your True Grit, so you need to get that magic resist increase. You need to be tanky enough to like tank magic damage opponents. So in most games, if you can get away with the Cleaver, it would be the best first item still, because it's going to give you armor spread. All the value of Cleavers like really big. The kite potential is the main thing about this. Combine that with your Storm Raiders and then eventually with your Phantom Dancer as well, and you're just going to be able to kite really, really well. Now, Phantom Dancer is like a one-off type of thing, because I said in no particular order these items are good, but most of the time, Phantom Dancer will be your fourth item, no matter what damage item you build before it. Unless that damage item is a Blade of the Rune King. Because at that point you don't need the extra attack speed that the Phantom Dancer is going to provide you to be able to, like, fight efficiently. Let me put it that way. Because you need to get a bit more attack speed from either a Phantom Dancer or a Blade. Like, you can get both, obviously, but that's whatever. You need to get one of the two items as like a fourth item, or you're gonna kind of lose a lot of auto attack potential and auto attack damage because you're not gonna reload fast enough to actually just get the auto attacks you need in the fights. So most of the time, going for an auto attack speed item like Blade or Phantom Dancer as a fourth item is the thing you should go for. Now, this is like a standard build I would usually go for in most games. So, like most games, I will then follow this up with a Death's Dance. Death's Dance will provide you with the ability to not get bursted. So, that would be very useful against like high burst mages like Syndra and everything. Because if they use that on you, Death's Dance is gonna reduce that damage for a period of time. And then you can lifesteal and just like duel them really well. So at that point you don't need to like go for Maw, for example. Because if you are like against a burst mage, Maw used to be like a great option to go for after this, but since the Death's Dance actually got the up in the damage reduction, like straight out the gate, you'll be able to sustain through burst damage like that. So Death's Dance is now a better choice in this slot. So that's like a standard way to go for. Now, there are a few options for like a last item in this build combination. You could go for Maw, which is going to give you that magic resist, so if you're dealing with like a lot of magic damage and high burst magic damage, this could be a very, very good pickup. It's also going to give you the like the passive effect, which pretty much means that if you get low HP by magic damage, you can then get more sustain out of it, which is going to help even more in like fighting people, because that extra sustain combined with Death's Dance sustain is pretty much just going to mean you heal like 400 per auto attack or some bullshit like that, especially if you crit. So it's going to really give you a lot of sustain. So that's like a good item. This is, like most of the games, this will be my full build. And these items will be like situational items that I could go for. Infinity Edge is pretty much here to replace your jungle item with as soon as it hit like late game. Because if you hit that far in the game, it's better to have a bit more crit rate. So 50% crit rate, like with this entire build. If you were to remove that item and put the Infinity Edge in there. This complete build is going to give you a lot of sustain from Death's Dance and Maw. Combine that with the damage reduction you can get from the Phantom Dancer and the Death's Dance. And then just high crits. This build is going to really get through a lot of fights and going to be it easily allows you to just 1v5 the enemy team pretty much. If you position yourself correctly and don't get like straight up bursted by the entire team. So this is what like a late game item build could look like. It costs you 17,000 gold, as you can see right there. So it is a beefy item build to go for. It requires you like to be very late game to have that much gold pretty much. So it's like an option as well. You can also get like a blade if you really have to, as a 6th item in this build, for example. So if you're not dealing with too much magic damage on the enemy team, you don't really need to get a Maw. Your Death's Dance will most likely be enough to reduce most incoming magic damage from the enemy team that you have to block. So if you're like just one magic damage dealer in the game, and that guy's, for example, just Syndra or something, you can easily just get away with having just Death's Dance, and then if you get ulted by her, you're still going to be able to sustain. In that case, if you're against like higher health champions right now, Blade is a good solid option. Blade also is a really good option these days because of Gargoyle Stoneplate being a thing now. You gain insane amounts of health if you activate Stoneplate, which means that Blade is going to deal more damage to you. So if you have a Blade and you're hitting a target with Stoneplate, which is a more common item these days because it's very gold efficient, you can actually deal a lot of damage through it, and you're still going to be able to just shred through them, even though they use it, so they're not going to be as tanky with it. So in those situations, Blade could be a very good option. And if you are fighting, or are playing against a team that has high health stuff, like Nunu, Maokai, Sejuani, all that stuff that builds really high health and really tanky, it can also be an option to go for the Blade as a 3rd item as well. Because it will provide you with attack speed, which is going to be very useful as well for faster reloads. But it's mainly just going to be to help you kill tanks. And at that point, you can then follow that up with maybe a cleaver to kill tanks even more if you really have to. but usually you can go for like a Phantom Dance for crit rate, and then Death's Dance, and then complete a build like this, you know? So there's a lot of leeway within this build, and it's just depends on the enemy team, really. So if you have any questions about the build, make sure to ask them in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them for you. And yeah, if you enjoyed it so far, leave that like button. Click that like button, not leave that like button, what the fuck. And let's get right into the gameplay now. Alright, welcome to the gameplay section of this guide. I'll be talking over the spectated game that I've played a while back. This game was about mid Diamond 2-ish MMR, I think. Can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was like Diamond 2 at least-ish right there. Alright, let me go back here. It already started. I thought I had some time. Usually this shit doesn't happen early game. Alright. The enemy team is a blitzcrank, which means they're gonna invade. I was trying to look for cover here, but they were there quite quick, and then I got into some trouble. I had to dash to the side, and then I flashed over the wall to just get out. Blitzcrank failed his flash, and honestly, I will take a Blitzcrank flash for my flash. I don't mind that too much as a jungler, especially as like Graves and stuff that doesn't really need to gank heavily early on. So not having your flash isn't that big of a deal, and if Blitzcrank does not have his flash, then he will lose out on maybe kill pressure on bot lane. So I honestly don't mind it too much that he used his flash for my flash. Now, I am gonna go start blue buff here, because I always start top side most of the time with Graves and then clear it down. Plus, starting blue buff on Graves really gives you a lot of mana sustain to clear jungle a bit faster, which is also very nice. Now, apparently, Kha'Zix this game is looking to start on my red buff for some reason, which, I mean, it is kind of strange. I did get no vision cover from my mid and bot lane, so he actually got away with starting my red buff, apparently. I'm pretty sure I noticed that later, but I just noticed this now, this game specifically. So, if I'm starting topside, if any jungler is starting topside, it is preferable to either have vision on the opponent doing like their side of the camps, or then just place like a cover ward for your jungler in case an enemy jungler invades. So that kind of shuts me down early game right now. That Kha'Zix, he took 2 of my camps pretty much. He took red and Raves, which is a really good cheese tactic. I gotta give it to him. I should have done the same thing to him, to be honest, but I just after the invade didn't think about it probably. Because usually what I do is let me just show you. I walk here into this brush at like as fast as I can to get there, and then place a ward like right there, right here. And then I walked back down, so if they place a ward here, I can spot it with the ward I placed there, and then if I walk down here, I can see them walk up from all the directions to his red buff, and then on Graves you can easily solo that and just start it. It works most of the games, and yeah, that's what I should have done this game, because he took my red buff and took my Wraith camp. But that's what I didn't do this game, so it's whatever. Right, I am level 3 right here. I don't have red buff, he has my red buff. His red is still up, but like Kha'Zix can't fight me right now, because I am way stronger than him as Graves at level 3 than Kha'Zix. I just have more damage to like fight him. Plus I gain armor from True Grit, so if I dash towards him, I'm gonna gain this extra armor stacks. And then he'll just not be able to trade fight me. There's no way. Now here I'm kind of looking to maybe go for his red buff still. I literally straight up walk through mid lane, which is kind of cocky to be honest. But it's the fastest way to get through his red buff, to potentially get some vision control down. I'm not sure if I will actually go for it, because my lanes won't be able to react as effectively. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I just recall here, because top lane is getting pushed in. It's Evelyn top lane. This guy just picked it. I don't know why. But it's Evelyn top lane. So I'm kind of like, after he took my red and my Raves like that, I'm actually kind of behind in farm right now. I should have had like about 30 after like a full jungle clear and all that, but it is whatever, it doesn't matter too much. Now Kha'Zix walks here, he is still level 3, I am also still level 3, but he has a double buff and I don't have any buff, so fighting him there would be pretty stupid. If he didn't have red buff, then I could have probably 1v1'd him there still, but not worth the risk if the enemy jungler has red and you don't. Now, he's walking into mid lane here. I am trying to counter gank this, but since Blitzcrank was also there was no way LeBlanc was gonna survive long enough to actually, like, for me to get in range and potentially counter gank her. She did kill Ahri though, which is not too bad at all. Now here I just gotta go back to clearing my jungle camps, because I am far behind in CS, and that is definitely what you gotta be doing right there. If you're like falling behind in CS like this after like getting cheesed like I just did in this game, then you just gotta make sure you keep farming a lot. farming on Graves is one of the most important things to do because you scale really well and you have to make sure you scale really well. So you have to keep your farm going, either by just farming your camps, taking lane CS after you ganked, or like invading the enemy and then taking their farm. Well, at the time they're ganking, for example, bot lane, I could be taking his topside camps for if they were up. That's what I mean by that, just invading them, pretty much. Now, I'm about 600 gold behind, 500 to 600 gold behind Kha'Zix right now, because he got that kill, but I'm not too far behind yet, because I still did get the farm up, pretty much. He's on 27, but it's mostly because, like, the Wraith camps he took. He took both my Wraith camp and his Wraith camp. My Wraith camp is gonna make that CS difference count. It's not that big of a deal, it's probably like 110 gold or something for the Wraith camp. So, yeah, it's pretty much just one camp advantage. The CS difference might look a bit bigger than that, but it's not that big of a deal. Let's speed up a little bit here. I'm just gonna go back to the bot side of my jungle and keep farming, because that's the most important thing to do right now. There's no real way for me to gank anything. The only lane I could gank right now is probably top lane. Actually, top and mid lane. Bot lane is not really gankable at the moment, because they're getting pushed in, and yeah, it's not really a gank option for this case. Now, I just wanted to make sure I got my red buff here, so I wanted to be there when it spawns, because picking up red on Graves is what gives you gank potential. If you don't have red buff on Graves, you're gonna have a harder time ganking people. You're only gonna be there to damage people. So, in those situations, it is better to not gank if you don't have red buff. It's better to farm and try to invade the enemy jungler, because the kill pressure you have is gonna go down significantly. Now here, I tried to simply ult the Kha'Zix, but it looks like he flashed. I didn't know that at the time. I thought I just missed it, probably. So he just flashed my ultimate, which is fine. My ult would have killed him, but he flashed it. And then Ahri also flashed, so we got 2 flashes out of that. Which is not too bad, but it could have been better, obviously. At this point, my blue spawns, so I'm gonna walk towards blue buff here, and then probably look to gank top lane with the red buff I still have for a little bit. Again, make sure you use that red buff to gank as much as possible. That is why starting on blue side of the map and clearing towards a red buff to a full clear is the best choice in most games. To have red buff for longer and then to also just gank better with it. Now, Yasuo flashed there, like, he really dove hard on the Evelynn, which was the best thing he could have done, because if he tried to run for me, there was no way that's gonna happen, because I could just chase him down since I do have that red buff. The fact that Yasuo flashed there was pretty good, and I still got, like, we still got the kill, and Evelynn still got the assist. Yasuo's teleport is on cooldown, which is probably something Evelynn told me, so that's why I pushed this wave in. Because if the enemy top laner has that on cooldown, you might as well push it, so they lose a wave and you gain a wave on them, pretty much. So that's what I did there. There's no way he's gonna get back in time to get this wave. And Evelynn doesn't really lose too much for it either. I pick up my warrior enchant on my red smite right here, which is gonna make me insanely strong. It's gonna give me massive duel potential on the Kha'Zix. There's no way he 1v1s me, because he's going for blue smite, which is not smart if you're facing a jungler that goes for red smite. Blue smite can be an option on the Kha'Zix, for example, but if you go for it, you gotta know that 1v1ing, mostly Graves, like trying to 1v1 Graves that has the increased armor from True Git and then a red smite on you is not gonna work. So this Kha'Zix should never try to 1v1 me in this situation. He will always lose. Now here, I'm probably just looking to go top lane again, because the Yasuo doesn't have flash and he's pushing. And he didn't ward yet. But it looks like he recently just warded. But still, he doesn't have flash and he's still pushing, so we can make that gank work if we want to. See what I'm going for here? I'm just trying to walk into the lane here. He gets backpinked by Kha'Zix, but he's still playing, like, slightly aggressive, so I think this might work out. Alright, here I decide to back off, because I knew something was going on here, but, like, Ahri wasn't in lane anymore, so I didn't really want to try to fight that. Alright, sorry for the slight jump cut there, my bad. I had to quickly, like, someone came in and then, you know, it got kind of awkward. So I just, again, the play, I was here, like, noticing that Ahri was missing from mid lane, so then I just wanted to try to back out. Evelyn's going in a trading match with him. The fight's going on right here, so all I had to do was try to go for the burst damage here. I tried to burst Kha'Zix with as much damage as possible. Yasuo does block the the return damage from my Q, but the initial damage still hits him, and then my ult also hits him to burst him quick. So that's what really happened there, and I just tried to burst the Kha'Zix as fast as possible because he's really squishy, and that is a pretty viable choice. Now Yasuo still tries to go for the kill on Evelynn here. He does get it, but I do get him, so it's definitely worth for us. We traded 2 for 1, pretty much. So that's what happened there. I'm not sure where it left off before I had to made the quick jump cut, but it should still be okay here. So here I'm looking to just put a lot of damage on the top lane turret because Yasuo, well, he does have teleport, but I can still just put a lot of damage out. And Evelynn was also pinging that she's gonna teleport in, so I was trying to look just to get the turret and maybe pick up a first turret there, but it wasn't gonna happen. Now at this point I need to back. I have 1100, pretty much 1200 gold. So it's gonna be Ninja Tabai that I buy there. It's really good against our team comp Caitlyn, Yasuo, Kha'Zix. Deal a lot of auto attack damage, and reducing that is pretty massive. Now here, Kha'Zix is like doing my red buff whilst I'm doing my Crux. I didn't notice it. I just thought I could just start Crux and then clear up. But yeah, I just got cheesed out of my red buff again, which feels bad. Now Kha'Zix has everything warded right here, and this is where he makes a massive mistake. Alright, what did I say to you guys earlier? He has Blue Smite, and he has a Kha'Zix against the Graves. I have my red smite up, my ult's gonna be up soon as well. There's no way that he 1v1s me. This is a really stupid play on his move. Like, he shows up right here, he bursts me for a lot of HP. I red smite him, I missed that, I shoot it here so I can get a little bit of, I get most coverage from the backwards and the forwards hit. Just rewind that again. Alright, just faster a bit, and then as soon as the fight happens, slower. Here, he goes on me. He is in this position right here, so all I have to do right now is red smite him to reduce the rest of the damage he's going to deal to me and increase my damage that I deal to him. I also still have a red buff on me, so I can have that, like, he doesn't have an advantage by just having the red buff. Now, at this point, you gotta look at this. I dash that way to make sure that he can't really run this way. And there's no way he runs this way, because then my team could easily follow up and he dies. So I dash this way, use Q in this direction, so it hits that way and then backwards. So if he's walking somewhere here, he's gonna get hit by both. And then all I have to do to finish off the damage with that is ult him and he dies. So as soon as he comes out of his invisibility, you ult him and then you win the fight. So that's a really big mistake on his part, and positioning on my end was key here to pretty much my survival. Alright, that's just a recall. After that one, I'm just gonna recall and pick up a longsword. The longsword, in this case, is most likely gonna go into a cleaver first, because it's just gonna be helpful against their team. They're not really tanky, so going for like a blade isn't an option, and then, I mean, you could go for Death Dance potentially, but like cleaver is just gonna give me that kite potential against probably Yasuo and Kha'Zix, so it's really beneficial. Now here I'm looking for a gank on top lane. The Evelynn was pinging this constantly, so I was like, alright, fine, I'll just walk up. Now Yasuo definitely just dies here, there's nothing he can do. That's just a pretty free gank and a pretty, like, good call from Evelynn. Now here we're looking to get first turret to, like, ensure our team gets it, because there's still no turret down, so we're pinging for it and we're pushing for it. Which, we're gonna get this turret easily, there's no way they can do anything about it. She wants to get this. I wanted to help her push it, but she clearly didn't want that, so whatever, I'll just take his jungle camp. I am currently sitting on 1400 gold, which is a pretty solid back, so I should look towards doing that soon, but I'm most likely going to go and clear the rest of my jungle camps here first. They're pinging for Rift Herald, but I don't want to be doing that right now. I just want to take the time to get some more farm going. Because again, the main thing on Graves is you got to keep your farm going, and if you don't, then you're going to fall behind, and falling behind on Graves is not fun. If you if you get your farm going and you scale up, you're easily going to be able to do fine to carry most games if you position yourself well in team fights. Now here I'm actually looking to do the Rift Herald, but then I see Yasuo just completely overextending again. He doesn't even have a turret, so all I have to do is legitimately just walk up to him. And then he flashes, doesn't matter, I flash auto attack him, he places his wall down. I wasn't using my ult before he placed that wall, because if I like randomly ult him, he can block it with my wall. So I'm just gonna keep it until he walls, and then after that use it. Now here just simply solo the Rift Herald. There's a pretty easy tactic to do it, especially with Graves. Like, it's really easy since you have a dash. You just kite around him and just keep auto attacking it, and then the Rift Herald will die easily, no problem. This might get fixed in the future, but as of right now, it works, and it is very nice to do on Graves, to just pick that up. Now here I look to recall because I have 2400 gold, which is nearly enough for my cleaver, but I don't have I don't have enough for it, so I might as well just pick up a little bit of extra attack speed in the dagger, since the item I'm gonna get against after cleaver is gonna be Phantom Dancer. Again, Bladed Rune King is not good, and you need that attack speed item to help you out. Now here my bot lane's fighting, so I'm trying to just walk towards it and clean up this fight. A Q towards here, Caitlyn, and then Kha'Zix just like jumps out, so we can easily pick up a free dragon right here, which is probably what I'm gonna look to do. I mean, I can easily do this dragon by myself, it doesn't necessarily matter too much. So just quickly picking up a dragon. There you go. Now here, Ahri doesn't have a turret right now, so if I just walk like towards her, we can easily go for the engage on her, and then she could die. Her ult is on cooldown, her flash was on cooldown. I probably knew that, but she just walks up and gets out. So there was not really too much for that happening, but if Ahri would take the engage on Evelynn, then it would have been a good situation. Now here I have Cleaver, which is a massive damage spike for Graves. It also allows you to kite like a lot more effectively because of the movement speed boost you're going to get constantly. So it's a really big item to pick up here. And it's going to make me really strong. Also gives me a lot of CDR for my ultimate, which means my ult's going to be up more often, so yeah. Now here, they're fighting, and I was trying to look towards joining this fight. Kha'Zix is doing his blue buff, we're probably just walking up towards it. See if I can maybe steal this from him, and I do steal it from him. Now here, Rakan is trying to, like, stall fight him, and I just walk up to Caitlyn. I tried to follow the team, and then we just kill Caitlyn. Here, Kha'Zix is kind of taunting me, but if he stayed for, like, even a second longer, I probably could have killed him with the Q backwards Q and then auto attack. I placed the Herald on bot lane, probably because it's gonna time out soon, and we just can get a free turret with this. Right, he wind walls. That's half the turret's HP gone. I mean, there's nothing Yasuo can do. I can literally just walk up to him and, like, turret dive him completely, and there's literally, like, he just dies. I try to chase him here. All I have to get is one auto attack on the guy, and he dies, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna get it. Alright, he ults, and then I get it anyway. I'm not afraid to, like, walk forward into the enemy team, because I am, like, 7-0, I am really strong, really tanky, and I'm just out-leveling them hard, so then it just puts me in a good position. Now, we get the start quite low, but at this point we should be backing, because they're really low, and I'm still full HP, but I'm not going to be able to fight them 1v3 at this moment in the game. If I had a Phantom Dancer at that moment in time, I probably would have just gone for it, but not with the items I have right now. Currently sitting on 1500 gold, which is on the back, is a Zeal with another dagger. Zeal costs 1200, so it is really good to get that. Like, getting crit chance on Graves and then getting those crits in close range is really gonna help, like, matter a lot in a lot of fights. And here I'm just looking to push mid lane because they're all going top lane towards the teammates. Actually, I turn off mid lane and go towards the red buff because I am kind of greedy and I just want to get that red buff for myself, but I could have picked up this turret, and which was probably the better call, but I guess I'm just too greedy and I just want to get that red buff first. What I should have done is finish the turret and then take red buff, and then that's what I should have done, but I guess I just got hella greedy or something. Whatever. 2300 gold, 2000 gold, sorry. Which means I'm very close to just picking up a straight Phantom Dancer, so that's probably just gonna clear until I come back for the Phantom Dancer right here, which should be after the Gromp. Maybe I clear wolves as well, or maybe just full clear. I'm not even sure what I do here. Yeah, looks like I just... Oh, actually, I don't. Kha'Zix was trying to fight here, so I just went towards my team to fight that. If they needed my backup, because I am very strong and they definitely need my help if we can. Alright, they hook him in, which is kind of strange. It's an interesting play for Blitzkrieg 04, he dies for it. Now here we're just gonna finish off the turret if I can. Alright, I had to flash out because Ahri's charm landed, and then I could have died to that as well. Here I'm not really keen on fighting because I do have a lot of gold, but my team really wants to fight, so I guess we're just gonna have to try. This is just a pretty much like, you know. Kha'Zix can't walk up to me because I can auto attack Q and then he like loses a lot of his HP. As you can see right here, like I just completely wreck him. I'm heavily out leveling him because I kept my farm going. Evelynn was flanking, that's actually why I was keeping up the pressure on the people there. I'm not sure why I was keeping up the pressure, but until like I saw the Evelynn walk right there and like try to flank, then I realized why I was doing it. Now here I gotta really back because I have 3000 gold. That's definitely gonna be a Phantom Dancer with potentially a Vamp Scepter. Not too sure actually how much gold that's gonna cost. It is something I'll look for though, because getting that lifesteal at this point will probably be like the best call. Alright, I only have enough for a longsword apparently. Yeah, I only have enough for longsword, but that longsword's gonna go into a Vamp Scepter for that extra sustain in fights. That extra sustain matters a lot. Like, just getting a Vamp Scepter, just getting a little bit of lifesteal with like the item combination you have in a Phage and a Phantom Dancer, it's gonna matter a lot in fights to just help you sustain. Now here, I am gonna get the red buff here because obviously I am the one that's going in close range and I'm the one that's gonna have to chase. They're most likely gonna try to go for her in like a weird way and then she's gonna be able to just kite them off them, but the red buff is better on me. If I wasn't this fat, I would probably give it to her because she is quite fat. Here, enemies just mispositioning, I guess. Like, we should be able to just pick up this dragon for free, but like, they really wanted to try to fight something, I guess. I mean, at this point in the game, it's literally just team fights and literally... Oh, I missed my ultimate there. Damn, if I hit that, a Kha'Zix would have died. That's pretty boosted. I mean, sure, he was invisible, so I couldn't really target it directly on him, but like, that should have hit. Right, here we're just standing around the mid lane. I don't know. Like, as soon as I crit right now on Graves and I'm like melee range or something, it's gonna hurt a lot. That's why crit chance is pretty good on Graves, because you can get that massive crit when just while it's just standing close to people. Now here, probably just gonna look towards soloing the dragon real quick. Just pick that up. Actually, I can also pick up their blue buff here, yeah. But here I should look for the dragon, probably. Do I look for the dragon? Okay, apparently I don't look for the dragon. Reason I don't is because probably I just want to back, get my items, and join the team for the team fight. This dragon is a speed dragon, which honestly doesn't matter too much. So I guess I just valued at that point in time to get to my team a bit faster after the recall over getting this dragon, because honestly the dragon isn't that good. So I can understand why I did it there. If it was an Inferno or something, if I didn't do the dragon right there, I would have literally been retarded. But in this case, I can understand it still. Now here we kill the jungler, we can easily just get the Baron off that. At this point, with a Vamp Scepter and the build I have, I can easily tank this Baron for pretty much forever. I can just sustain it, so yeah, getting that lifesteal bit on Graves really matters a lot for a lot of sustain. Just straight up basic fight. I think we just simply end with Baron right now, because like their Yasuo and their Ahri are dead. Caitlyn is most likely not going to be able to like defend this with Kha'Zix without those two damage carries, so we probably just push the end here. My CS is kind of low this game though on Graves. Usually you should have like around 200-ish, like 190 to 200 for this time in the game. So I've been slacking on farm a bit. I guess that fight didn't work out for us. Alright, he just walks into a trap straight up. Here I'm just looking for the fight because like I can just come in. Like Caitlyn does next to no damage to me because I have Ninja Tabai and I can sustain. Right, that was kind of close though, but like I would have easily just been walking into this and then trying to fight sustain that. We kill Yasuo here as well. I'm very low, so I'm just kind of looking to back. I do have red buff, so I could have stayed, but at this point I probably also have a lot of gold. Yeah, 2,500, and my Dev's Dance costs about 26. So I'm just looking towards doing this camp, and I'm probably just backing for like a Dev's Dance. So it's most likely what I'm doing right now. Just to finish off my build real quick for this game. Yeah, there we get the Dev's Dance. Dev's Dance kind of prevent me from getting bursted by Kha'Zix, Ahri, Yasuo. It doesn't necessarily matter too much. So it's also going to provide me with a lot of sustain. I'm 11-0 and 6 right now, which is honestly pretty good. Not too bad, not too bad. The main thing you got to take away from this game, though, is the fact that I kind of misfarmed. And, I mean, sure, I have a lot of kills, but this kind of farm is kind of low. So you have to really look towards farming a bit more and trying to be a bit more efficient when it comes to ganking whilst also full clearing camps. I was a bit too keen on trying to fight this game. Like, just constantly duel with the enemies, which landed me a lot of kills, sure. And it worked out this game, but it's less consistent and less reliable than farming a lot and just getting ahead in levels and damage on Graves. Because Graves does outskill really well, so the more farm you can get and the more you can get ahead that way in a consistent manner, it's gonna be way better to get a consistent win rate on Graves and consistent wins on Graves. So that's the main thing you gotta think about, and that's the main thing I wanna, like, mention as well. Even though this game I did go for a lot of ganks and a lot of like fights, farming is more consistent. Anyway, that's pretty much the Graves like guide. If you have any questions, make sure to ask them in the comments below. If this helps you out, or you enjoyed it, or like both, make sure to hit the like button as well and subscribe for more. See you guys in the next video. Bye!